Good morning, guys. Welcome to another episode of What's Up Hotshot. My name is Boris. Today I'm coming to you guys from Belgrade, Montana at the Flying J. It's really close to Bozeman, Montana. I'm about to pick up, or actually drop off, one of my loads here. I got up at 7 this morning, so I got to sleep in a little bit. It's a little later than usual, but the problem is I'm only about 15, maybe 20 minutes from my drop off, and they cannot unload me until 9 o'clock, so I have a little bit of time to kill. Unfortunately, last night I noticed one of my headlights went out. That happened just as it was getting dark, of course. It's a real pain to change those on my truck, but I do have some extras. You're actually required by DOT to carry at a minimum one each of all the different kind of lights that you have on your truck and trailer, and if they do an inspection they can check for that. So I have my package right here, and I do have one headlight bulb and a whole bunch of other ones too. So I'm gonna try and change that out while I have the time. But what I wanted to do in this video is kind of talk about my last 2 weeks, and you guys have been asking for numbers on how much you make hotshot trucking, so that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. And also I'll show you guys what I have on my trailer right now, and let you guys know how much those loads are paying, and then I'll kind of break down 2 weeks, go through all the loads I did in those 2 weeks and how much I made. So if that's of interest to you, then stay tuned and we'll get right to it. Here we are. This first load is steel. I picked up in Portland. It's going all the way to North Dakota, this part of it at least. It used to be my whole trailer was full of this, about 9,000 pounds of this bended metal here. So I was going all the way to the back, and I had 4 other drops, or 3 others, a total of 4 drops total, to get rid of all of this, and most of it is already gone. Just these last 4 pieces that are going to North Dakota. But it's a really good paying load. It did have, it does have 4 drops total, so that's part of the reason it's paying so well. But after I got to Spokane, I was able to get rid of everything that was on the back here. And there was an earlier drop off, there was some more stuff right here too that I got rid of already. And then after Spokane, this became empty. So I was looking for more loads, and this is the load I picked up going to Bozeman, Montana. It's paying $1.50 a mile for this big trash compactor. Unfortunately, anytime you pick up something big like this, your mileage just goes way down. I was getting like 13 miles to the gallon even when I was fully loaded with the 9,000 pounds of steel, because it's all low. It's a nice low load. Then I picked up this, and now I'm getting like 8 miles to the gallon. So you got to keep that in mind anytime you pick up, a tall load like this. But it's an extra like $700, I think, for me. Then I was able to pick this up, and it just takes me a few extra hours to pick it up and drop it off. So pretty happy about that. And then the load of steel was paying almost $2 a mile for the whole deal. So probably I think about 1,500 miles total. So pretty happy about these loads, and just for this one little trip from Spokane to Billings, I'm actually making just over $3 per mile. This is super awesome. I've never actually had that happen before, and that's only because this used to be a full load, and then I had those extra drops with it, so it worked out. It doesn't usually happen. You make that good of money on a 2 partials or 1 full load, so that worked out really well. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on fixing that headlight and keep my ass out on the load board. Maybe I can pick up another little partial going to North Dakota, although it's not looking very good, so we'll see. And snap, we are in the office all of a sudden. I don't know how guys do the daily uploads. I can never find enough time to do the videos and edit while on the road and do all my loads and everything else. So props up to you guys that are able to do that. It's a couple weeks later now actually. Just had Thanksgiving and took some time off. But because of that, I do have 3 weeks for you guys to review now instead of the 2 I said in the intro. So we'll get right to it. First of all, I wanted to go over some fixed weekly expenses that I always have to pay. So like I said, I just took pretty much a whole week off for Thanksgiving. And yeah, I still have to pay for this regardless if I run or not. I don't really know how to get everything up on the screen, so I just wrote it down for you guys here. Hopefully you can read that. So these are fixed weekly expenses. The first one is load boards. I subscribe to 2 different load boards. They're $35 each, and it comes down to $17.50 per week for both of them combined. Then my insurance, it is $8.50 per week. My insurance is really cheap after having talked to some other people. Not really going to go into all the details on that, but if you're trying to do this, especially if you're just starting out, this is also my renewal policy, which was cheaper than my first one. Expect to be paid a lot more than that. I know some guys that pay like upwards of $1,000 a month on insurance, so I guess I'm getting lucky on that. Then truck payment, $416 for the truck. The way I figured that out is I bought my truck used. I paid $20,000 for it. I'm trying to pay it off in 1 year. So that comes down to $1,666 per month, which is like $416 a week. I don't actually have to necessarily pay that much each week. I could pay it off in, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever I want to do. I just don't want to pay that much interest on it. So my plan is to get it paid off in 1 year. And then the trailer, it's basically the same deal. Paid $7,000 for the trailer used, and gonna pay it off in a year. So that's what it comes down to, $146 per week. This is a total of $658 per week in fixed expenses that I have to pay for regardless of what happens. My other expenses obviously are going to be fuel, and then I do use a factoring company for most of my loads. Sometimes I end up taking a load from a broker that is not factorable. That happens sometimes. So sometimes I might have to send them my own invoice and wait 30, 60 days. I've had to wait 3 weeks once, 3 months once, just before I finally got paid on some loads. So I try to use the factoring company as much as I can to avoid that. So that's another monthly expense that will, depend on how much I make that month, as well as the fuel. So I'm going to start off with my first week. I had a load on my trailer already from the prior week that I was able to drop off on Monday. And that load paid $1,050. Then the next day I picked up another load, and then we get into the next day and I dropped off that load, was paid $768, and I picked up 2 more loads. And then we go into Thursday. I dropped off both of those loads. The one paid $432, the other one paid $960. And then we get into Friday. So after I picked up that load, I had quite a bit of deadhead to get to my next load. I was out somewhere in Montana, so it took a little while. And then it was on a Friday, and it was a long load, so I was going to be able to keep going throughout the weekend. But then I got there and I checked in with the guy who was supposed to pick it up, and he was saying like, well, we don't have that anymore, that already went out on a truck on Monday, and I was there on Friday. So I don't know, like we don't have that. It was a piece of machinery, and they checked the serial number and they said it was already gone. So I called the broker back, and they were like, oh no, they sent the wrong piece of machinery on Monday. You're there now to get the right one. We'll figure out the paperwork, whatever. 2 hours passed. talking to them, talking back to the broker, he's talking back to the customer, and eventually they were like, yeah, no, we made a mistake, sorry, we don't have anything for you. I was able to get a truck order not used out of them for $250, but unfortunately that leaves me stranded for the whole weekend. So I just deadheaded home after that. Thankfully I was not too far from home and I could do that, and took the weekend off. So fuel expenses total for the week were $681.25, plus my fixed weekly expenses are $1,339 for the week, and then the total income that I made for the week is $3,460 over a total of 1,885 miles driven for the week. That includes all of deadhead and loaded miles. Which leaves us with $2,121 for the week that I get to take home, except I did not deduct taxes of that. So I usually set aside 20%, so take 20% off that for taxes. This year, or right now, I'm not doing that because I'm gonna have so many expenses that I can claim. I don't think I'm gonna owe any taxes based on what I have already paid for the year. But keep that in mind, roughly 20% set it aside for taxes. So then that gets us into the next week. Starting Monday, we got a little bit late start because I had to go look for a load first, and obviously couldn't book anything throughout the weekend. But I was able to pick up 2 loads on Monday morning after about 100 miles of deadhead to get there. Then Tuesday I was able to drop off one of them, plus pick up another partial that was nearby where I dropped it off. And the first load paid $400, and then that second one paid $700. Then on Wednesday I dropped off that first load I picked up, and then picked up 2 other loads, so that paid $600 that day. And Thursday I dropped off those 2 loads, with one paid $600 and the other one paid $850. And then on Friday I picked up a load that was going quite a bit further, so that would get me throughout the weekend, which was pretty good. But that is not gonna, of course, also pay until the next week then. So I ended up driving home after that and actually taking the weekend off because I had some other projects I was working on. So I was able to get back home and have the weekend off, which is pretty cool too. So my fixed weekly expenses of $658 plus fuel $616 and $126 that week for factoring. So total expenses of $1,400 even for the week, and a total income of $3,150 for the week. With after expenses, that leaves me with $1,750 take home, and then you take your 20% off that for taxes. Total miles driven 2,258 for the week, and that is with the weekend taken off. So that will take us into the next week. I didn't have to search for loads or anything, so I got set up really good, and this actually was probably my best week so far. First thing on Monday morning, I was able to drop off one of the loads I had on the trailer, and I was able to pick up another partial to go along. This is actually the load of steel that I have in the intro in this video here. So I dropped off the rear partial of steel that I had on the trailer, and then I picked up that trash can or trash compactor. And then next day, on Tuesday, when I filmed the intro for this video, I dropped off that load in Bozeman, Montana. That paid $700, and I picked up, or no, I was not able to pick up anything else, so I just put in a lot of miles that day and actually made it all the way to my drop-off location for the next morning. And they opened at 6 a.m. so I got there I got there late that evening, but I got up early the next morning, and on Wednesday I unloaded that. That was this really good paying load of steel. It was $2,550 for that. and I was able to pick up another load pretty close by in Bismarck, North Dakota. Just a partial, couldn't find anything else, not many loads in North Dakota, so thankfully I was able to find something, because I had already been searching for loads. Like on Monday I already started looking for loads to pick up on Wednesday, because I knew I was going to be there at that point. So but that's all I could get. But still, I was actually pretty decent paying partial load, and I was able to drop it off on Thursday in Denver, Colorado. And I picked up another load in Denver, Colorado, like literally only 3 miles from where I dropped it off, so that worked out really well. This got me, and actually dropped that load off the same day too, the one I picked up in Denver. So that was, let me see here, that was $500 for that load, plus $1,000 for the other load I picked up the prior day. And that got me to Basalt, Colorado, like middle of nowhere, Colorado. But I was able to find another load that was going to take me back home, because I wanted to get close towards home to be able to take the next week off for Thanksgiving. So I thought that was going to work out really well. Then I showed up there the next morning on Friday to pick up that load that would get me back to Washington. I got it loaded on my trailer, chained it down. It was a big snowplow with a sander on it, and they had told me it was not going to weigh more than 10,000 pounds. Well, first thing I did is take it across the scale, and it was like 11,000 pounds, and I was overweight by just a few hundred pounds, and my fuel tank was almost empty. I didn't have any fuel in the auxiliary fuel tank, and my other tank was almost empty, so there's no way I could have taken it without being overweight. So that really screwed up that week, because I had to go take that load back. I didn't get paid anything for it, for 3 hours of work or whatever. And I was now on a Friday, like worst day to get stuck somewhere. It was also snowing, and the roads were bad, so I decided, I was too far from anywhere. It was too far to go to Denver. It was too far to get to Salt Lake City. I was like right in the middle of Colorado, and those were the two like biggest cities that did have some loads, but I just didn't have enough time to get there, despite getting started early after doing all that. I think it was like 11 o'clock, and with how bad the roads were, it would have took me too long to be able to make it to either Denver or Salt Lake City to pick up anything. So that really screwed me for the week, and I ended up actually dead heading home, because I wanted to take the next week off for Thanksgiving. So that was 1,000 miles of dead head that I didn't get paid for, but I guess that's how it goes. Yeah, didn't even get paid anything for picking up that load, because it wasn't actually through a broker. It was well, let's call it a direct shipper. It's kind of weird. It was a company that listed it directly on the load board. But so total expenses, just fuel alone, since I drove that much that week, was $974. Then the factoring costs for the week were $190, plus my fixed weekly expenses, that is $1,822 in expenses for the week. We drove a total of 3,114 miles, and like I said, 1,000 of those were deadhead miles, unfortunately. I still made $4,750 though, mostly because I did get lucky the week before that I was able to pick up a load on the weekend and be able to deliver that then the next week. So that really helped me out, and it still ended up being the best paying week out of these three, mainly because of that load that I picked up the week before that, and then also that I was able to turn that full load into a partial load halfway along the trip and be able to pick up that trash compactor still to put on the back. So that leaves me with $2,928 take home for the week, and then take your 20% off that for taxes. And then might as well tell you guys about the next week. I still did do a couple loads really quickly. on Monday and Tuesday, and then took off the rest of the week. Only 576 miles and $570 basically that I made that week, and took the rest off. So yeah, hopefully that is helpful for you guys. Yeah, you can make pretty good money in hotshot trucking, but it's also a lot of work, and also a lot of times loads end up canceling, or something happens that changes your plans. And when that happens on a Friday, like it did twice during these 3 weeks, that can really screw things up. But yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know if you guys like this kind of video, or if you would like to see more like videos of actually like what loads I have on my trailer, or something else. Leave me a comment, let me know what you would like to see, and if this was helpful or not. Please leave me a thumbs up on the video, and hopefully I'll get to 1,000 subscribers soon, and when that happens I definitely plan on making more frequent uploads. I do have some other content that's for car videos that's already filmed. I just gotta find the time to upload it. So yeah, thanks again, please subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.